are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. LSU review and an LSU preview. LSU obviously put the smack it down on Southern. Not a slight at Southern, but put the uttermost smack it down on Candy Asses this past Saturday, and looks to do the same against Mississippi State. We will review and then we will preview. I also have some recruiting updates. Oh, blank. There was a Woj bomb that came in today for LSU recruiting. Well, it was on the AYS message board literally 2 hours before the bomb dropped. Before the bomb dropped. So we will get into some of that. We'll get into preview and review. And also, as we do every Monday, we'll get to Carter, the Power Bryant, who will be joining us at 7:30. We'll be doing all, obviously, breaking down LSU deeper and deeper as the layer of the onions go. Always look forward to having Carter, the Power Bryant, on every single Monday. Also, we'll do a week 2 recap of college football. Down goes the Irish. Down goes the Irish. 0-3 since Brian Kelly left Notre Dame. 0-3 since BK left South Bend. I'm telling you, man, you want to talk to stuff, you want to run your mouth, you want some gangsters in front of your house. Brian Kelly will set it off. Nevertheless, we'll get to that. Texas busted a grape against Alabama. And Texas A&M, guess what you're not? We're back. Now, I get that Sam Ehlinger in Texas. I get all of that. How do you lose to App State, dog? How do you lose to App State? Yikes. I know LSU losing to Troy was bad. Nevertheless, Jerry Zimmerman, getting to a couple of these comments, though, before we get started, says Brian Driscoll's going to have to eat some crow. He's going to have to eat more than that because, guys, a mythical character and a mythical mascot and the thundering herd of Marshall went up to South Bend and wanted it more than they did. It's all that was. There's not more athletes on Marshall's team. Poorly coached, poorly trained. Guess Brian Kelly was right, wasn't he? I don't want to. He left 11-1 team, 11-2 team. Got to be able to win. But one thing is for certain, he was not holding them back. That is for sure. Okay, so we will get to a lot of this. Hawley Nose says he loves the Coach Prost intro. Yeah, we'll be doing some of those to kind of, a lot of people have complained. Not complained, but just suggested to get something in there before the intro starts. New intro that was done by Pooh Bear is fantastic. As Blaine says, look at this intro, Pooh. That intro is fired. That it is. That it is. Always enjoy our producers. They're always taking us to the next level, so I greatly appreciate them doing that. Jerry says, Lord forgive me, but trolling Notre Dame fans is so fun right now. Well, it should be. Because, guys, they trolled you for a matter of weeks and months, and now you got to clap back. Ryan Williams from the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com, says A&M is a bunch of weirdos. That's all I have to say. That they are. That they 1,000% are. No doubt about it. Okay. So let's get this thing rolling, though, y'all, because we do got a lot we have to touch on. A lot that we have to talk about. We got to do a review and a preview. We did a lot of the review. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. I'm not good, but we're going to do a lot of preview. And I think Brian Kelly, who spoke with the media today, Brian Kelly laid it out to LSU fans. Everybody thinking that Mississippi State's going to just waltz in here and we're going to beat the ever-living shite out of them. It's not true. You better put on your big boy pants. And I got to tell you, I could have labeled this one, the preview, as a Ruffino's rants. It's time for payback. It's time for payback. 2020, Mississippi State rolled in our house and threw for more yards than I don't even know what a good comparison would be. It's time for payback. LSU's a dog in this game. Mississippi State's getting or minus 2.5. LSU's getting points at home. And guys, the game starts at 5. So relatively in the late fourth quarters, it's going to be at night. We'll preview it. All right, let's do this. Everybody do us a favor. I see so many of you watching us live here on Facebook right now. About 200 of you right already on YouTube. Everybody, stop, collaborate, and listen. If you're on Facebook, you know what the business is. Hit the like button, hit the share to those Facebook groups, share to your own social media pages. If you're listening to us on YouTube, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. If you're listening to us, and by the way, all the Brian Kelly, we're going to be doing this. The Brian Kelly, what do you call those things? The press conferences. We'll be uploading them to our YouTube channel moving forward. So you can go and check it out there too. We uploaded today's press conference. Go check it out after our show here tonight. But that's where you can go catch it. It's always good to just subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you're listening to us on XM Radio or you're listening to us on the audio podcast platform, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Did a big recruiting thing today on our message board, ayssnetwork.com/forum. I know that there's a lot of you in here that are watching right now that have not subscribed. So want to keep up with LSU and get a behind the scenes look of what we're hearing and things that we know. Go there and subscribe. Okay. So let's do this. Let's pay these bills. We'll be back in 1 minute. We got a lot of breakdown and preview and review to do. Stay tuned. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varnado & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varnado & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Alfonso, Noble, and Colin, thank you all for sending us stars via Facebook. We greatly appreciate it. Every time you guys do that, that helps us go such a long way. It really does. I really do appreciate it. Roderick says, man, the air raid is going to be hard to stop. It always can be hard to stop, but there's ways, Roderick, obviously, to stop it. LSU did it a season ago. Jerry Zimmerman says, hashtag ask y'all, is our defense ready for the Mike Leach offense? We'll talk about that a lot tonight and as the week goes on. Jay says on YouTube, Baskerville. Yeah. Crazy story about Baskerville, isn't it? Now we know. Guys, let me say this. I get what you're saying. Well, Blake, we beat them last year. I get it. I know. Guys, I know. What I'm saying is I want the payback of when they came to Death Valley. When Mississippi State came into Death Valley and beat us on our own field, that's what you call payback. Yeah, you go to their place, you beat them. Fine, cool, dandy, it's cool, whatever. Cowbells, more cowbell. Who gives a shit? Like we're Will Ferrell. When they step foot into Baton Rouge Saturday night at 5:00, chin straps are buckled. I want to say something, but I'm not going to say it. But chin straps are buckled, shoulder pads or shoelaces, everything laced up, ready to go, buckled up, because it's going to be 4 quarters of an ass whipping. That's the sense of urgency that LSU came out with Saturday night. I want that payback. Mississippi State has absolutely no business at any given year walking into this house and beating you. KJ Costello threw for more yards against LSU than he did damn near, not really, but in his entire career. Then he got benched weeks later. I want the revenge. Now, Brian Kelly. So let's get this thing started. I'm telling you. Oh, and by the way, LHSAA, I haven't forgot about your stupid ass. I promise you guys, at some point this week, I'm going to absolutely tee off on the LHSAA. If you don't know what the LHSAA is, I'm assuming most of you do. It's Louisiana High School, whatever association, athletics association, and whatever they call it now. I'm coming for your ass. Pause. But it's coming. I can't stand incompetence. I cannot stand incompetence. Guys, like, I'm pissed. It's coming, but it's not coming tonight. All right. Preview and review. I see so many of you, all 300 plus of you, stop what you're doing. Again, hit the like and share. So look, normally in a review, preview type of matchup or type of thing, we would break down a lot of the review on Monday and then slowly preview and then get into Thursday. But guys, I got to tell you, there was so much good that LSU did, and Southern was not a great opponent. But let me throw this out there. You know who else wasn't a good opponent? Duquesne, when Florida State played them week 0. There's 3 big things, 3 big factors that you have to take away from this past Saturday. Number 1, Jane Daniels is your starting quarterback. Guys, there are really big statistical categories that Jane Daniels leads in. QBR, yards after contact. There are so many things that Jane Daniels through 2 weeks is doing so well. Now, you may say, well, Blake, it's only through 2 weeks. Well, who in the hell did Bama play week 1? Yeah, they had a tough game against Texas. Well, LSU had a tough game Alabama had a tough game this past weekend against Texas. Anthony Richardson had 2 tough games. Kentucky is not a sneeze of an opponent. Then you had Utah, and he struggled. But the biggest takeaway for me is, guys, if you're on the – and look, this is not to throw shade, as some people who don't listen will take this as. This is not me throwing shade at Garrett Nussmeier at all. At all. Jane Daniels is and will be throughout the season, knock on wood, barring injury. Please, God, don't let him get hurt. Barring injury, will be your starting quarterback. 10 of 11, and everybody's saying he was running for his life and trying to run the football. Guys, no, he wasn't. He had 3 rushes. One of them was a sack. Getting out of the pocket and continuing to look down the field to hit Jack Besh. Guys, I said this last week, and I will say this again. A lot of times when we see him, he keeps you in every single game. Jaden Daniels keeps you in every single game that you will play in. Were you impressed by what you saw, Alabama versus Texas? I wasn't. Were you shocked, or are you scared now of A&M after falling to Appalachian State? Are you scared of Florida now? The team that has showed the most consistency, quite honestly, in your schedule has been what you will see this week in Mississippi State, and a bunch of seniors on the offense and defensive side of the ball, juniors and seniors, I should say, that have been in this Mike Leach system for 3 years now. And then obviously Tennessee going up to Pittsburgh, playing a very tough opponent, the reigning ACC champ, on the road and winning. Jane Daniels keeps you in all of those games. You can't turn the ball over like that. You can't have a pick six when you're that close to running out of bounds. Throw the ball away. Throw the ball away before the man hits you. When you're scrambling, don't try to make something happen that's not there. When there's one wide receiver and 4 DBs, don't throw it. Nothing good comes out of a scramble drill when there's one wide receiver and 4 DBs. Nothing good will come of it. Maybe you get lucky every once in a while. But Garrett's got some growing to do. It's not throwing shade at him, guys. It really isn't. It really, really, really isn't. At least it's not my intent to, if it's coming off that way, because that's not my heart. It's not what I'm trying to get at. That's the biggest takeaway that you should have. Number 2, obviously the offensive line. I thought that they played pretty well Saturday against a lesser opponent. But, guys, at some point, you know, you can sit here and say all you want to. Well, Blake, they only played Southern. Okay. Guys, but they did exactly what they were supposed to. What more do you want to ask from them? Now, I still think that the running backs have to hit the holes quicker, decipher where they're going with running the football, where they want to go. They have to get quicker with that. Now, obviously, you get John Emery back this week. Is he ready to go? Brian Kelly says he is. I wonder how much you see him this week. But the running game was fine last week. And obviously, I think the biggest takeaway in number 3 is what they did, what you saw defensively. Guys, they're going to change things up. They're not going to stay stagnant. They're not going to just show you the same thing every time. Sign of good coaching. It's a sign of good coaching. You had Greg Brooks that moved back to safety. Jay Ward moved to the slot. Okay, guys, Jay Ward has all the ability in the world to play slot, because every time he's been in that type of position or been on the boundary corner, guys, he comes away with a lot of turnovers. Brian Kelly stated today that Sevyn Banks, the Ohio State transfer, in this game, it's all hands on deck. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him this week. And I think 3A for me is obviously special teams. Come out first play of the game, you generate a fumble, then you block a punt. Micah Baskerville is going to have to find his way on the field now. You don't have a choice. And quite honestly, LSU doesn't have a choice but to play him and Harold Perkins after what we saw just last week. You got to give them that shot. You got to find roles for them to play in, even if Baskerville is coming in on third down, where Brian Kelly said today that he's extremely great in coverage, in his opinion. And then you have Harold Perkins that they just have to find a position for in specific spots. Guys, what we don't need to do, though, in a review of the game, because I'm not going to break down Southern a whole hell of a lot. Guys, they're not a great football team. But what I will do is tell you the realistic stuff about what we're going to preview for this week. And I quite honestly thought Brian Kelly said it the best. Brian Kelly did say it the best. Guys, this is going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be a tough matchup. Whether you think Mississippi State is down, whether you think that they suck, whether you think that the air raid is outdated, guys, Mike Leach has changed his tune a little bit. Now, Rodgers is going to throw the ball 50 times, but at halftime, guys, they were very close to being 50-50 when the game against Arizona was really close. They're running the football a lot more than they have been in years past. You have to be able to contain all of it. You can't show them the same stuff. Basically, you have to try to redo and reaccomplish what you saw a season ago from LSU's defense. Going 3 down linemen, running more of a 3-3-5 type of thing, running a 3-2-6. Those are the kinds of defenses that beat Mike Leach. But Leach has shown this season that he has a lot of confidence in his offensive line and his running backs as they're running the football a lot more than we've seen in seasons past. Guys, LSU's a dog at home. They are the underdog. Act like it. The sense of urgency that we saw just literally 48 hours ago is the same sense of urgency I want to see. Go down on special teams. Be a head busser. Be a head busser. Knock a dude's head off. Be a head busser. That's what you got to do to win in this league. I said it against Florida State. I'm going to say it again. The key to victory is very simple. Very, very, very simple. If you don't stay disciplined and you don't play your exact zone, or you don't play your coverage right, or you don't get the right blocking scheme, excuse me, in the 3-3-5 defense that Mississippi State will run, you're going to have issues. Guys, they run 6 plays, maybe 8, and 2 of those being run inside and outside zone of the run plays. There's nothing magical about it. They run it to perfection. They run it ad nauseum. They run it at nauseum. And they're going to make you stop it. I literally said this the last 2 seasons since we've been doing the show, and everybody called me an idiot when I said this, but I wonder if you think Brian Kelly is. Guys, it's the triple option through the air. The same 6 to 8 plays that Herman Boone ran for T.C. Williams is the same kind of stuff and the same type of philosophy that you're going to see. Now, T.C. Williams ran the veer. This is the same concept through the air. If it's everything dictates off of what the defense does. It's sometimes unstoppable. You know what's interesting? Those same concepts were ran here in 2019. How did that work? RPOs were a part of it, sure. Now, Mississippi State doesn't do a whole hell of a lot of it. Same concept. Same concept. If you're not disciplined, you will get beat. People rag me when I said this about Florida State. The realistic nature is, if you don't stay disciplined, it's going to be a long night. Okay. Let's get to a couple of these comments, though, before we get Carter in here. Chance Babin says App State and Marshall got paid more than $1.4 million to whoop that ass. It's true. It's very true. David says, get physical with their receivers at the line of scrimmage. Well, you tried that last time and you got burned on crossing routes. You can't do that. Guys, you can't do that. Must tackle or must tackle, no missed tackles. Agreed there. John Emery must have a great game. Offensive line must really step up. Go Tigers. I agree with 2/3 of that. But you can't, this bump and run shit that Orgeron tried to run, you can't run that against the air raid. That's how you get beat. Blaine Smith says they were crowning Richardson, and I was really high on him too, as Cam Newton and Tebow. I didn't say it was Cam. I said he could have that type of performance. I still think he can. Kentucky went to the swamp and beat Florida. Well, go back on the Believe Network. Our partners over at Believe. Go on Believe Network. I said outside of Anthony Richardson, if you, and I said this, if you neutralize Anthony Richardson, that roster's cheeks. Because they're not good. If you immobilize Anthony Richardson, they're not good. It's what they did. Mike Andrews says State returned 16 starters. It's my point. It's like they come out the womb running the air raid. Derek Sonny Gordon says it's too funny they still blaming Brian Kelly for those losses, talking about Notre Dame. Talking about Italics Kelly recruits. Italics? Maybe Italians? What's wrong with recruiting Italians? Like y'all sound dumb as ever right now. Yeah, they do sound dumb. Guys, look. Let me say this too. Players getting NIL money is not stopping them from getting beat. What's going on in the NFL then? Stop. When you needed a score at the end, Jane Daniels got it for you against Florida State. Bryce Young did it for Alabama. Y'all need to stop that now. Y'all need to stop that. You look like a damn fool. Jason Brumfield says Lemony Twang film breakdowns. Yeah, that's Carter. I wonder if his aunt. I would rather have his aunt on the show than Carter, if I'm being honest. Michael B says Mike Leach's team always has the potential to be dangerous. Absolutely, they have the potential to be dangerous. Absolutely, they had the potential because they came in here in 2020. I don't care that we went there last year and beat them. I mean, I care, but I want them to come back in this house and get those cheeks clapped. There is nothing. And for y'all that played, for all of you that played, now they're mad at me, Pooh. I'm already seeing it. For all of you that played, there's no further disrespect than an inferior team coming to your house and beating you, and not only beating you, man, just whipping your butt. Not in this house. Not in this house. Pooh Bear says, thank you. I don't know what he's saying. Thank you too, but you're welcome. You're welcome. Chris English says this air raid scheme was a dino and dunk. Maybe he's saying dink and dunk. They will dump it off to running back 1 or 11 times like they did last game. They don't have high average yards per attempt because they throw so far underneath. If I'm not mistaken, though, they threw the ball 17 times. They threw the ball 17 times in the first half, and I think they had 14 rushes. So they were pretty balanced in the first half. I know I have it saved, but what I don't want to do is have to stop the show and then look at this shit, because I watched them pretty vividly last night and this morning. It's actually all that I did, believe it or not, was watch Mississippi State. But I have the stats right here. I was going to use it next week. Here we go. 21 passing attempts, 15 rushing attempts. So you're 6 away. Guys, I'm telling you, they and here's the crazy part. They ran the ball 15 times for 98 yards in the first half. 21 yards, and like Chris said, which is true, 21 attempts, 103 yards through the air, 4.9 yards per attempt. It's not a lot, but they are dinking and dunking it off. But the fact that Mike Leach ran the ball 15 times in the first half when he was only up 8 at halftime, I'm telling you. Jason Brumfield says Elise Emory Jones had a nice pancake. And look, something that will go unnoticed on that Emory Jones pancake is him throwing his hands out and belly flopping him. You can't go down for a holding there. It's a massive. Blaine Smith says Cade York is a monster. That he is. That he is. All right, 2 more. Then we're getting to the Lemony Twang man himself, Carter Bryant. We put in a request for his aunt. She declined, so we're just still stuck with Carter. But it's okay. I love it anyway. Lucy says, hashtag Ask Blake, may I see the sexy Pooh Bear?
Hi, Lucy. Checks in the mail.
I mean, do you have something that you have to tell us? I mean, are you gaining a fan base? Is that what's going on here? Are you more popular than me now? Is that what the hell is going on?
Is your name Zach? Then yes.
I'm speechless. I don't have any words. I think you got me on that one. I think you got me. Okay. So let's do this. Pooh Bear, they think you're sexy. Pause. But I mean, Lucy, that's the third time in 3 shows that Lucy's been, where's my Pooh Bear?
Hey,
I mean,
I don't know. So here's the thing. That's probably a burner account of someone else. Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it.
she says, thank you, Mr. Bear. Okay.
He's so silly. So
I'm not
silly.
I'm
He's
just
so
I'm
silly. I'm talking to Lucy, not you. He's so silly. Lucy.
thank you, Bear.
So silly.
All right.
Lucy.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get to Carter, the Power Bryant. Let's pay these bills very quickly. Let's talk about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Guys, we will be back in 1 minute. Your Lemony Twang breakdown. Stay tuned.
By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino with AYS sent you on by.
Carter, the Power Bryant. Bring the heat. Or should I say, bring the Lemony Twang tonight, y'all.
I'm just happy that LSU's got a victory. I'm happy that Miss Lemony Twang herself got to enjoy a game with my father and my mother. I'm glad they had a great time. And I'm happy to be an LSU football fan. I'm happy to have a W. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better weekend. Obviously everything that didn't involve LSU football just seemed to go their way this past weekend when Notre Dame and A&M losing. So, Blake, it's good to see you, man. Happy, glorious football season. Got a who dat win. Got everything going. Let's go.
Carter, I know that a lot of people say that there's not a lot you can take from a game like that against Southern. I still think that there's things that you can take away. Wow. Number one being the sense of urgency that they came out and they played with. What is the biggest thing you took away from this past Saturday?
Yeah, it's clear the quarterback race isn't close. I mean, it's just the reality here. And I've shared this a few times, with some of the film breakdowns that I've done. I've gotten to know people close to Jane and people close to Nuss, and they appreciate my honesty about the situation. And Garrett Nussmeier, I dropped a film study last night if you want to see the 2 interceptions. The second one looked worse because it was a pick 6, but the play call was an experimental play call. There's nowhere to throw the football on that rollout to the right. But you still eat the sack and just throw it away. That, and it's just a nefarious play by Nussmeier. And then, his interception earlier was, to me, the worst interception that he's thrown up to this point.
Agreed.
And obviously, Jaden Daniels has just been better. Now, I gave him a B+ in my overall evaluation simply because
who, Nussmeier or Jaden?
No, not Nussmeier. No, you can't. No. Jane, I gave him a B+ because there's still some throws where he did have time to make those throws that still resulted in good runs. So it is still a really, really good play because, a lot of these throws that Jaden has missed per se, he has still been able to run for a lot of yards. So it is not a be-all, end-all that he makes every single throw. But at some point, you do want to see him start to actually deliver some of the throws that do show up on a rewatch. Now, the good thing about that, Blake, is not throwing the football doesn't result in interceptions, right? So, as far as Jaden, this has always been him. He's not going to throw a football that he doesn't feel overly.
He can make the throw.
Exactly. He wants to feel near 100% that he is going to be able to complete the pass. which is a good thing to a certain degree. But sometimes you do have to make the throws that are there that don't have the same level of certainty, right? That's just an honest evaluation. Now, when I say that, Blake, people go crazy, right? It's just the truth. He is still playing at an extremely high level. You look at EPA, you look at QBR, you look at all these advanced stats. He is amongst the country's best right now in those aspects. But some of these throws do show up. Now, Blake, I will tell you who my highest evaluated player was versus Southern, and it was.
And why is that? And why is it Anthony Bradford?
Anthony Bradford did have a good game. Offensive line played really well. Will had a really good game.
Who was your best graded player?
It was Kayshawn. Kayshawn was just incredible, right? The first thing here is he celebrated other people, right? And there was this narrative, and some of it was justified, that his body language versus Florida State wasn't there, okay? But go look at all the replays of these touchdowns, right? He's the first person there to celebrate a lot of these people. And what's very interesting is on 2 of the touchdowns, he should have been the one that got the touchdown. But Jaden decided to tuck one of them, and then the second one he decided to throw to Jack Besh on the opposite side, which is fine, right?
Yeah,
but
and in that all 22 and that first one that he ran, if he does throw it, it's picked. The safety does come back through the middle, because I said the same thing you did. I was like, why did you throw that? But regardless.
Right. So whatever the case may be, right? If Kayshawn is running over there and is the first person to celebrate, you learn that Kayshawn is somebody that is celebrating other people, right? And that showed me a lot. Now I know we're winning, and that makes it a lot easier, but this was just not only that, but the BTJ double move, right? Kayshawn, if he is the one wide receiver to the other side, he just draws a lot of coverage, and it just opens up better opportunities for everybody else. I thought Kayshawn was phenomenal, right? I thought he blocked fine when he needed to block. He had the reverse. He was who we expect him to be. Now, the end results weren't the same kind of Kayshawn numbers, but for me, I feel as if this was a huge moment for him, and now we get to this Mississippi State game where last year he did, quite frankly, win that game for us. So we're going to need him big time again. Mississippi State secondary is really good, and we'll see what he's able to do versus them.
Carter, I think it's the small things for me with Jaden. And look, I get maybe the double move by Brian Thomas on the slant and go, maybe against a better opponent that's knocked away. But I like, people are like, oh, he underthrew it. Well, let me tell you something. I would rather you underthrow it for your guy to make the play than you launch it into the 12 rows up the bleachers so nobody can make the play. It's small things like that really draws me to that. And you know what else, Carter? I said this today, and I said it on my show Saturday night. That reverse, Carter, I guarantee you they might run just a simple dive to John Emery with Kayshawn Boutte in that exact motion, just to keep everybody at bay, right? That's how big of a thing he is. The biggest thing for me, and I want you to expound on this, Brian Kelly said something about Jane today that really kind of blew me away. He said, guys, we're in the film room, and Jane's like, Coach, he's doubled. So the simple fact of Jack Besh or Malik or Brian Thomas is on the opposite side drawing single coverage, I'm going to go to them now, because later in the season, they're not going to have a choice. They can't double him. When he said that they had that conversation, Carter, a boulder was lifted off of my shoulders, right? Like, oh, shit. So there's actually competency inside that room. I guess when you hear that, and you hear that from your quarterback and your head coach, that feels very real to me. When you hear that, what's your reaction to it?
That's great. Look, the intangible aspects of Jaden Daniels is off the chart, right? And I love that about him. I've gotten to know a little bit more about him just through, people close to him, and a lot of the things that, people may not know about what he went through personally last year was just freaking incredible. So, those things, his football IQ is really, really good. And Right now he's not putting the ball in harm's way. He's just doing a lot of things to help us win. So I'm just really excited about that. And I'm really excited about, this offensive line, Blake.
How did you like Frazier at tackle? How much did you
I loved it. Right. And Cam also had a good game, coming in off the bench. That was good for his confidence. But what's going to be really interesting now is, and you can explain this better than me, but as an offensive line, things are going to change this week, right? You're playing the most unique front you're going to play this year, the Mississippi State 3-3-5 pressure. Now, last year, we actually did a better job protecting it than we did in 2020, where it was just
the basic stuff. They protected that more than the basic stuff, which is so wild.
And that's going to be hard. This is going to be a really hard task. Brian Kelly brought up Tyrus Wheat, Emmanuel Forbes, number 13.
What did he say?
I don't even.
I'm like, coach, it's a meat man.
I love it. But the truth is, Blake, their defense is really solid. Really, really, really solid.
Carter, their back end is better than what people give them credit for.
Right. Now, what I will say, though, Blake, is I do feel defensively, I know the big thing going into this game is how will LSU's defense match up versus Mississippi State. And you made a good point about them running the football. I think when Leach puts on the LSU tape, it shows that they're going to try and run the football some. I know that's not a Mike Leach thing, but LSU's run fits and tackling are still an issue. And if I'm Leach, I'm going to force LSU's defense to tackle my players. Jaquavius Marks, a really good player for them, number 7. So, for me though, Blake, they did lose Mekhi Polk. They did lose Heath. And they still have Austin Williams, a really good receiver. I'm not petrified of their skill guys, Blake. I'm just not. Even though LSU secondary is not the 2011 secondary, this is probably the most favorable skill guy matchup that LSU has in the West this year. And
even more than what you saw from Bama this week.
Yeah, Bama's skill guys do have. There are a lot of issues there.
You smell that? It smells like Dookie.
Look, I'll say this: Texas having Gary Patterson on their staff really helped them out. It was massive. That was such an interesting thing. They said that Patterson spent like 2 or 3 months just planning that game. That was pretty smart. But
and then they said later on in the game that he did it for Bama and Oklahoma.
Interesting. I love it. So
dude, he's a good coach, bro. He's a good coach, man.
Well, a lot of these defensive guys look up to Gary Patterson, right? He's kind of like the air raid, but of the defense, right? He did a really good job scheming things up, and in the end, it was just Bryce Young making plays, and them Texas not having a healthy quarterback there to make plays for them. But you know what, Blake? I actually do like LSU's defense. I do think that they match up well. There are a lot of issues on this defense, but hopefully a healthy B.J. Ojulari will help out. And one thing that's going to be very key, and it was big in this Southern game, and it's something that LSU, quite frankly, didn't do enough of versus Florida State. They're a quick passing team. They get the football out quickly. They don't try and hit you over the top. Rodgers was 31 of 39. I believe his longest, I think the most explosive play they had versus Arizona was 20 yards. So, the knock on Will Rogers has been he doesn't have a high ADOT. He doesn't have a high air yard percentage, right? He is an intermediate thrower. So as a defensive line, you need to stress, get your hands up quickly, get your hands up in the passing lanes, and that's going to be very key for LSU versus Mississippi State to, disrupt the timing of their passing attack.
Biggest thing that concerned me, now LSU got pressure on Southern, but Carter, the Southern, and look, this is what separates the men from the boys and LSU from Southern. And this is, again, no disrespect. Carter, I played center. I'm 6'3", 290. Okay. their center was 6'1", 260. In my opinion, we should have had a situation. Do you remember when Southeastern played LSU and Braden Fajoko just went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in 2018? Well, the center was a true freshman. Okay. He was 6'2", 270. He's a true freshman. Okay. LSU's front dominated all night long. Carter, we didn't see a lot of that in the interior. It worries me a hell of a lot as we continue to move on. Am I crazy for having to worry there?
No. Look, we're both LSU fans. We're all LSU fans here. You should be a little worried about the defense, right? Look, you've lost your best player, Mason Smith. He's gone, right? No need to sulk about it, but it just, he changes so much for you defensively, right? And look, I actually liked Savion Jones. He did a lot of really good things this past weekend. What was that?
So did Perkins.
Yeah, Perk leading the team in tackles.
I told you he's the best player in the country. You wouldn't believe me.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. I hated Harold Perkins. I thought he was the next Clifton Garrett level bust. I am known for that evaluation.
No. What you would do is text me at 1 a.m. saying, "You up?" Question mark. Harold Perkins is a fucking is really good. That's what you would say. My bad sorry for the curse.
No. Look,
but it's true.
He had a great game.
They use him they got to find ways to get him on the field on third down, right? Like I'm not.
Yeah. Like I think, so you look at his first pass rush rep, it wasn't great, but as the game moved on, he started getting to where he was feeling comfortable, right? And look, something else about Harold Perkins, if he is playing the jack, he is more athletic than BJ, right? He can run people down, and as a guy that drops back into coverage, he does give you a little bit more in terms of that, right? Now, he's not the refined player that BJ is, and he's not the player that BJ is now, but at some point he's going to, figure it out. Now, the big thing for me, Blake, is, Micah Baskerville was the best player for us defensively, and it wasn't just because of the block punt and the pick six. He's playing at a high level right now for LSU. And, it's good to have clarification that, we're all locked in with him, ready to go, for the rest of the year. Trying to figure out the best linebacker rotation is going to be very, very, very interesting. So, for me, I feel really comfortable, with Micah Baskerville on the field. I do think he gives us a presence. This is a guy who's won a championship. This is a guy who's been around the block. I'm really excited about what he is going to be able to do the rest of the year. Now, the other linebackers, it was a little scattered. They all had some really good moments. They all had some rough moments. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
Carter, I know it's Monday, and we'll do a lot more of breaking down this game. As we start wrapping up here with you, how do you think this goes? Because LSU's a dog in this game. And I think for an LSU fan, you got to take it for a grain of salt. Like this could be a field goal game. Okay. That's how I'm going into this until I'm proven otherwise at the current moment. Now, I think LSU has the potential. I'm not going to say talent anymore. They have the potential to beat Mississippi State and beat them fairly. But when you look at this game, how do you see it playing out?
I think LSU rolls. I love this matchup for them, right? And so, Blake, you know me, right? Like you know me pretty well at this point.
No, I've never talked to you before.
So I will share this, right? And I don't have enough time to explain it here. This isn't one of those snake oil salesman kind of thing, right? But I spent all day doing research on something that I have seen trend-wise that has helped me predict games, right? And it's something that very rarely happens over the course of a season. And there are a lot of things that really point towards LSU winning this by double digits. Here's what I'll do, right? I'll do a video on it tomorrow, and I'll explain it to you later. I just got done putting all of this together. I have never been more comfortable with LSU as an underdog in this spot before picking LSU. And I have picked against LSU a lot of the times, right? I wasn't comfortable about the Florida State game. I still picked them to win the game, but I wasn't confident in that moment at all. And Blake, before the season began, you and I talked privately, and I said it on my channel as well, that LSU was probably a 7-5, 8-4 team, and they're probably still, around that mark in terms of their talent. But this game had always set up really nicely for LSU for a lot of reasons. And I think LSU is going to come out not only fast, I think they win this game by 10. I do. I feel like their skill guys don't have enough, right? Even though our defense isn't to where it needs to be, and I like Austin Williams a lot, their they dropped a lot of passes versus Arizona. They look kind of ordinary offensively, and there was a lot of Will Rogers, kind of methodically picking apart what Arizona was doing. But there is a lot from that game that would concern me if I'm a Mississippi State fan. And one thing is their special teams, right? They're still trying to figure out their kicker situation. And that's another reason why I don't like Mississippi State going on the road in this spot, right? But what I'll do, Blake, is, you and I have been friends for a long time. I will tell you after your show why I'm leaning heavily towards LSU. It is really hard to explain, though, in like the final few minutes here. But I've never been more comfortable picking LSU as an underdog in this spot. And some of it is health. I think LSU is getting healthy outside of the Mason Smith thing. BJ Ojolari getting a rest is going to be really big for LSU in this spot. And I also think Jaden does a lot of things that makes Mississippi State's defense tough, in a quandary, if you will. Now, here's going to be the big thing, okay? And this is something I found to be very interesting. LSU did decide with their running backs to, in blitz pickup, is to just pick up interior pressure. And I'm
okay with,
especially in this game, right? Where the big thing about the 3-3-5 and how it lines itself up is they do a lot of exotic blitzing out of that front. Okay. So if, you have a guy straight up on the center, what they're going to try and do is just A gap blitz the living daylights out of you. A gap, B gap. They're trying to get unblocked interior pressure. So LSU's running backs, the pass protection was okay. Armani Goodwin had a big play on the Malik Neighbors touchdown. I mean, some of the best blitz, pickup you'll see. It got a little weak towards the end. It was a good read by him, but he missed it, but he got enough, right? And there was another blitz pickup where Noah Kane actually held the guy. It was, I believe, Garrett Nussmeier's bomb to Malik. So that needs to get cleaned up. And then obviously you have the John Emery thing, right? Can LSU be able to run the football with John Emery? But even though I am not overall confident about where LSU's roster is at this point, I do like them to take care of business on Saturday.
If you make the right read, which, number one, if you're going to send a backer, I would rather the running back pick it up in the interior, okay, and then your guys overset, okay, in this scenario, because Jaden can find a crease and get through it. Number two, in this scenario, there's two things that I'm looking forward to this game. In my opinion, from a zone block or from a pass blocking scenario, you don't play a man here, you play a zone.
Right.
Okay. That's all pass blocking is anyway. You're not trying to get the surge at this point because they're going to be so excited. That's number one. Number two, and I think the biggest key, now they may see something different on tape. This might not transition into being right. Carter, the zone reads in the running game is going to be massive.
Yeah.
Letting Jaden make the decision, because for everybody that doesn't know what a 3-3-5 is, obviously you have 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers. So essentially 6 guys in the box. Sometimes you'll have 7. Carter, when the left tackle or right tackle has the ability to go straight to the back and there's so much space there for him to do that. I will tell you the one thing that Arizona State did that I thought LSU is massively going to be better at Carter, if you come out here and we're zone reading the shit out of them 12 times in this game, I think that we rush for over 100 yards with ease. Okay. Because I think because Carter, if you get Will Campbell out in space to a linebacker on a zone read, he benefits more than their linebacker does. On the flip side, Carter, I told you this all offseason. I'm going to see if it's going to pan out. Their defensive backfield is better than anybody's given them credit for.
They're good. Yeah.
They're really – Carter, I'm going to say this, and it's going to be tongue-in-cheek, and I'm not going to go extreme. They have the potential, and I think at the end of the year, we're going to look back and say they were the best in the league. They were the best in the SEC. Because it's not Bama right now, in my opinion. Georgia's the only other team remotely possible that can hang with Mississippi State's back end. They got Duke back there. That concerns me just a little bit. Just a little. All right.
Yeah.
The limited okay. First off, when you changed your name, what did you put your name as on Twitter again?
So on the Power Hour LSU account, at Power Hour LSU, it was Human Jukebox will play neck.
No. I'm talking about your personal one.
Yeah. So the at Carter the Power one went to I think like Smoothie Prince. It might still be Smoothie Prince. And I come back on, and my fiance was like, not ever. I'm not making those smoothies, but my auntie, she dishes them out, man. They were fantastic. You know what's funny is that the smoothie I'd gotten that evening was very lemony and twangy. When I took a sip of it on your show, my insides were just like, I mean, I could barely drink it. It had that much lemony twang on it. The twangness was just too twangy. So,
I mean, as I tell my wife when she walks past me, I'm like, that thing's thangin'.
That thing's
thangin', boy. She be popping them hips. I'm like, ooh, bound chicken. What do we have here? Smoothie Prince. That's what it is.
There we go.
Everybody go follow Carter the Power Bryant on Twitter. Follow him at Power Hour LSU. Film breakdowns. What else do you have going on this week, buddy? And we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, so I'll have that video probably out tomorrow. Why I like LSU so much in this matchup. And it honestly has nothing to do with either one of these teams. And actually, now that I think about it, it has a lot actually to do with 2019 LSU. I know we talk about them all the time, but they did something pretty historic that even looks better in retrospect. So what I'll do, Blake, is you and I will jump on a call after this. I'll explain it, but it's going to take like 10 to 15 minutes, showing all the data and all that stuff. So I actually am taking LSU in the spot right now. Once again, could be totally wrong about that, but we shall see what happens.
7,000 followers and subscribers on YouTube.
I'm just scared. I'm just scared about joining Facebook, man. Your Facebook following is insane.
You like that?
I do. I love
that? Like my name's Kirk Cousins.
But no, I know a lot of people watching this are prior to subscribe. Go to Power Hour SEC. You could subscribe to that channel. Had a video pop right there talking about KJ Jefferson in Arkansas. It's very interesting, Blake. If there was ever a year for Arkansas, this is it. They got the elite quarterback.
And let me tell you something, Carter, and I know that you live here. This literally is the last thing. Their fans are stressing like a whore in a Catholic church. They're stressing. Okay, there it is right there. 8600 views. My man going viral.
Wasn't that crazy, man? Talking about do Arkansas fans.
Did they get mad at you or something?
No. I was saying that this is their year, and I'm friends with a lot of the Arkansas media friends. I've known Ty for a long time, Jacob and all those guys in the Arkansas media circle. Look. Here's a big benefit of being an LSU fan, right? You don't have like the 50 years of frustration that, and look, you don't think about this.
Feels like it.
It does, but those fans legit think about that all the time, right? Like, will I actually see a national championship in my life cycle? Will I even see an SEC championship berth? Will I even see a 10-win season? Right? A&M and
Ole Miss even got one last year.
Ole Miss got one, and they got a natty, right? And Arkansas's baseball has been elite. Arkansas's basketball is really elite right now, and their football is really elite right now. But those fans, they've been holding on since Nolan in '94. That was their last big one in the three major sports, and in LSU, we got a lot of them in two of the three major sports. So and women's basketball has been great, and men's basketball we've gotten Final Four there as well. So at least we've gotten to experience that in my lifetime. But Blake, thank you so much. Your show's getting better. Your SEC stuff, you're just killing it, man. Let's go.
Not like you. All right, buddy. We'll see you next week. Later, bud. That's Carter the Power Bryant joining us. All right, let's end the show here and me saying this. Do want to talk about my good friend John Patton, though, over at GMFS Mortgage. GMFS Mortgage, they're changing lives. If you're buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing a cash-out refi, the timing has never been better. Get in touch with John Patton today at 225-614-1234. It's 225-614-1234. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Okay, guys, week one to end this show. Now, we obviously saw the Saints come all the way back. We'll talk about that in more depth tomorrow. However, guys, this college football season to start has been one of the best that I can remember through 2 weeks. You got Alabama going on the road at Texas. Then let me tell you something about Texas too, man. I know that people don't like Bama around here, and I get it. I don't like them either. But guys, when LSU went there and then when Bama went there, they turned the damn air condition off. Do you understand how petty your ass has got to be to start doing some shit like that? Then they don't let their band come, and then they put their fans in the nosebleed. Bro, this is why Texas should lose. Now, I'm not ever going to root for Bama. I promise you that. But I hate petty. Like that level of petty. I'm glad Texas got beat. If I'm being honest. I mean, bro, those players haven't done anything wrong outside of going to Alabama, which isn't even really that wrong. For you to treat a university like LSU or treat a university like Alabama like that, because it's going to get reciprocated. Texas did surprise me, though, with how well they played Alabama. I will give them that. And Sarkisian, what would have happened if Quinn Ewers would have been there? Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Woulda, coulda, shouldas only matter in horseshoe and hand grenades, so it doesn't really matter. On to Notre Dame, though. Y'all got y'all's cheeks clapped. And I don't know how else to say it other than you're not good. Guys, Notre Dame is not well coached. They're not well prepared. Tommy Rees, thank God Tommy Rees isn't the OC at LSU. He talks, in the Colin Cowherd interview in the offseason, he talked about how he wasn't even ready to be the OC at LSU. What is that? Well, we know now. To all the Notre Dame fans saying that Brian Kelly was holding you back from what? Holding you back. You know what he was holding you to? Not losing to Marshall. You don't have the talent. You don't have the in-state recruiting base that it takes. Georgia has it. Alabama has more talent than you do. They get that talent. Now, they recruit more nationally, but they still have Alabama-grown talent. Florida has it. Miami has it. Texas has it. A&M has it. USC has it. The only thing good in Indiana is the Colts. And Reggie Miller doing a choke signal. That's it. Now, Pooh Bear says, hashtag Ask Blake, what happens first? Notre Dame wins a Power 5 game or Chris having a good take? Them wearing a Power 5 game. Them wearing a Power 5 game. Chris Brown Lee in this chat, he doesn't listen, Pooh. Your co-host doesn't listen. Hey, Chris, those stats you bring up for everybody else, why don't you bring them up for Mississippi State on the back end for their DB room? It's only about It's not about logic with him. It's literally about what he believes the past has dictated him to believe. The past, you actually didn't have man titties. All right. Is that how I got to end the show, with saying Chris has man titties? He's got areolas the size of a salami? Guys, it's all joking. History repeats itself. He didn't even put the ruh in front of it. Chris, I know good and well you didn't say ruh. You said history repeats itself. I know you, bro. All right. Chris, I'm just messing with you, dog. I'm just messing with you. You know I love you, Chris. I'm just messing. Pooh should have cut the show off right there. He can't do that. He can't do that. No. Not when we're on a roll. Big man, titty having ass. Not you, Pooh. Chris. I'm talking about Chris. Thank you, everyone, for watching. All right. We're out here. Notre Dame fans, Brian Driscoll, shut your mouths. Let Brian Kelly be great. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.